formal-like.
Yeah.
You say, well, Michael Miller's been doing this for 32 years. I've taught in 16 countries. I have 2 books out. Both are available on Kindle. One is nonfiction called The Elements of Pilates and Michael Miller View. And it's self-published, and it's like The Elements of Style, the English book, if you remember that one. And then I wrote a novel. It also has some curious viewpoints of Pilates in it. I've got a website where I've documented 98% of Joe's original work. So anytime I came across old video or pictures of Joe in his studio and pictures that either Joe was in or Joe took, I wanted to document that. And it's still the de facto encyclopedia in the world out there. The original work and what Joe taught and the order that he taught it in, I've got a pretty good body of work out there. Hermit.com. Why Hermit? Because Hermit in the tarot cards holds out the light for others to navigate by it and travel in that area. And all a person can do that's isolated by their own experience is hold the light out or not. And some days are better than others when I feel like holding the light out, and this is one of my best days because I get to shine the light for Cornu here. So the title of the thing is Discover the Cornu in You, and that's because this Cornu exists in you whether you know it or not, and the more you're aware of it, the more you can tap into it and benefit from it by the quality of your movement through space. And I'm with a taxi cab driver trying to find my host on an island in southern Brazil. And I'm trying to explain Pilates to him. And he goes, and uniform usage of the body, and he goes, oh, you mean like a fish swimming in an ocean of air? And I love that image, and I've used it ever since. And Cornu sort of helps you get there like that. All right. Where did Michael Miller Pilates come from? So, the Michael Miller Trademark has resolved into a business card that you can eat. How many have you ever had a chocolate business card before?
No, I haven't, but that's unique. Thank you very much for that.
And
For the idea.
This isn't a move around kind of thing in terms of working and doing hundreds and everything. This is me hopefully giving you a chance, if nothing else, of saying, yeah, Michael Miller, you just told me about that guy.
Braden.
Been there, done that. Okay, yeah, I met Michael Miller and saw his shtick way back when. My art, my creation, my brand. Is if you have anything worth claiming as yours, the one thing you want to make sure you do is claim it, because if you don't, other people will run right over you and take it away from you. So I'm really happy that the government agrees with me on that, and I've got a registered trademark of it. And my idea was to have everyone else so enthused about it that they'd want to be Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates and represent that view of Pilates. But it hasn't come to that, and I don't know if I'll ever live to see that. I'm not saying it won't happen. But you know how you said earlier, right before you got here, that humanity, or I'm not sure who you were referring to, but the interest in the community has gone to more esoteric things, more spiritual things. And I think that's true. Yes.
Yes.
You got to be smart enough to get what I'm talking about, and it's really tough to dumb it down to the point where somebody can get it without having enough intellectual capacity to be there to get it.
Get beyond that problem.
And so I'm proud of my art, and I'm here to defend it and let others in on where it comes from and why it came to be what it is. When I started Pilates, it's Rita and
Debbie.
Debbie, thank you. D-E-B-I?
D-E-B-B-I-E.
Okay, thank you. Debbie, when I went to learn Pilates, they told me to pull my stomach in. And then after I pulled my stomach in, they told me to squeeze my butt. And if I could pull my stomach in and squeeze my butt, they said, use your inner thighs. Right? Stomach, buttocks, inner thighs, stomach, buttocks, inner thighs. And I'm standing here with my lovely trademark because I'm the laziest guy you will ever meet in the world. And if I can reduce 3 things I got to think about to one image, well, but see, that Cornu didn't exist yet. And so all that really existed for me was this notion of rotation, of rotating at the hips. Stomach, buttocks, inner thigh. If I think of engaging like rotating as a grip, then that is the pivotal point of the linchpin. So instead of lines or linear stuff, I went from lines to rotation. And so I'm teaching Pilates, telling people about how to control the rotational dynamic in their hips. And then it became obvious that we rotated the shoulders as well. And I wanted to know how the rotation connects. And so is our rotation of our hips this way or this way? This way or this way? This way, right? Okay. How's the rotation in our shoulders?
Opposite.
Well, you say that, so obviously that it's not out there in the world anywhere really that I know of, that somebody says, well, the rotational dynamic in your... Talk to me.
No, you're right. I'm floored. I mean, I hadn't thought about this.
Well, see, so I'm thinking, well, is it like this? Is it a scroll? Right? I mean, how do the hips and the shoulders connect to one another? Dynamically. And because I'm off using a top, spinning a top to make the point that we rotate, and rotation stabilizes movement, and that was my 3-word mantra for a long time. Rotation stabilizes movement. To whatever extent we can have a rotational dynamic at the hips, we're stable in our hips. But this whole thing about shoulders and hips, I didn't understand until I found a top that has a pin on the bottom of it. And what you might notice is that it's rotating in one direction, but when it lands, it reverses direction. And it does that every time. I used to get a laugh by saying I'd stay up drinking shots of tequila all night to doing that. And so that became my answer to how the hips and the shoulders connect to each other. So my friendly watchmaker friend gave me a couple of springs, and that's what I use to... Crickets are here. How about that? That's pretty good, huh?